Catherine Falders at Mar-a-Lago, ABC News executive editorial producer John Santucci, and ABC's Alex Perche in Charleston, South Carolina. Alex, Haley's expected to speak within the hour. What does this mean for her supporters? Where do those votes go?
Well, essentially, they don't have a home right now, and their votes, many of them, are going to be up for grabs. I can tell you that at this point, we've tailed the Haley campaign in a number of states, and while many of them have appreciated her policies and resonated with her policies, I think her message, especially in these last couple of months, as being an alternative to former President Trump, is something that most of them just anecdotally have really sort of gravitated towards. They weren't on board with necessarily another 4 years of Joe Biden, but certainly didn't like all of, as she's highlighted, the extra things that come along with former President Trump. And so, you know, I was talking with a gentleman in Texas just a couple of days ago, and he was saying, look, he's seen the writing on the wall. He sees where the numbers are headed, but he hopes that she stayed. He was hoping that she would stay in because he doesn't quite know what he was going to do. So a lot of uncertainty there. There's been a lot of talk from the GOP about bringing the party together and having some sort of unity, all unifying behind a one nominee come November to beat Biden. But there's a lot of work left to be done on that front to bring everyone under what now appears to be a Trump tent.
Catherine, Trump's campaign says they're already focused on the general election. So what can we expect to see there now?
And that focus on the general election was apparent last night when the former president didn't mention Haley by name. But I think it's important to focus on this message of unity that Trump is trying to present here while he's saying that he wants to unify the Republican Party. At the same time, as polls were closing last night, he still essentially name-called Nikki Haley, calling her crazy, saying she's gone haywire, for example. So it'll be interesting to see how that message of unity translates to the general election here. But this is shaping up really to be the longest general election in modern history. Of course, something that the former president has been focused on, given that he hasn't been talking about Haley that often. Of course, he will continue to campaign into the weekend. The big question is, and I know John Santucci has probably heard similar from sources that we both are talking to, the big question is, how does Trump respond to this? Does he come out and speak again? At this point, we're told, at least from sources, that he has no plans to talk at this point. Does he post something on his Truth Social? Of course, all of that could change in any minute, but at this point, we don't think that we will hear from him directly in response to Haley's announcement.
John, at one point, it looked like Nikki Haley had the momentum to go the distance here. She got some big endorsements. She was climbing in the polls.
Yep.
What went wrong?
Too little, too late. I think that Nikki Haley had an option. She could have gone hard against Donald Trump. She could have hit him harder. She could have attacked him harder. She could have really made that differentiation between me versus him. She started to, but the problem is that that car should have been much further down the road, and it just didn't get there in time. So if the voters wanted an alternative, which some appeared to, right? Look at the exit polling data that came out now from multiple states that have voted so far. Some have said they don't think Donald Trump is fit for office. Some have said that if Donald Trump is convicted of a crime, they can't see themselves voting for him. So Nikki Haley had options and ways to get there. She just didn't take them. Now we need to see what's going to happen next, because the reality is Donald Trump does need some of those Nikki Haley supporters, because those are the moderate Republicans and independents that feel that both Donald Trump and Joe Biden are too old. So what happens today? Does she actually give Donald Trump that endorsement? Doesn't seem like that's going to happen based on our understanding, but he needs it.
Catherine, how is President Biden responding to Trump becoming the presumed nominee?
Well, we saw memos from the Biden campaign earlier today, essentially in response to Haley's announcement. A memo they also released last night saying that they don't believe that Trump will be able to pick up those moderate voters that flocked to Haley. Of course, that remains to be seen. What the Biden campaign is saying is that they're going to be expanding their map. They're doing additional voter outreach. They're going to pick up more voters. But of course, this comes as the polls are showing Biden and Trump in a pretty tight general election contest.